As someone interested in sound design and audio for visual media, one of the best pieces of advice that my professors gave me was to start listening to the world through headphones. It's pretty straightforward, though you might get some confused glances from onlookers. Just take a microphone and some headphones and listen to the live feed of your microphone as you walk around as you would normally. It's pretty incredible the things that you notice as you start doing this, and it teaches you so much about the art of recording. I'd really encourage you to try this for yourself if you're interested, because the effect isn't really going to be able to convey that well through this video. All I can really do is talk about my experience. Because of course, you're not here with me, you can't hear this location with your own ears and then put on headphones and see what you notice to be different. That's kind of a weird thing to think about, but it's true. The way that we hear things with our ears is far different than the way that we hear things through audio devices. To use an analogy, let's look at video. When you watch a video on screen, there could be times where people say, "Wow, it feels like I'm there." Of course, they're not actually there, and the actual experience of being there for real would be completely different than just watching it on a screen. But it doesn't matter. We can still watch videos and feel like we're there. We can still watch videos and empathize with characters on screen. Of course, I would also argue that a lot of that empathy wouldn't quite be the same without audio and music, but I digress. The point is that this concept is the same between video and audio. Just as seeing with your eyes is different than watching a screen, hearing with your ears is different than listening through speakers or headphones. But when we are working in sound design and audio for visual media, we have to work with the understanding that the final destination is on speakers and headphones. So we need to understand how this audio translates. This is not technical, this is very subjective. It's all in how we perceive sound, not in how it's measured. If we want to get better at capturing audio samples that are believable to others, we need to learn how to do that. And we can start by listening to the world through headphones. So again, I'm not really going to be able to fully convey the effect that I'm talking about in this video, unfortunately, because you're not going to be able to go to the same location with me to listen with your ears versus listening through a reproduction with an audio device. The point of this video is really just to try to inspire you to try this for yourself. So for now, what I can do is just speak to my own experiences as I've taken my Zoom H5 out into the world and made lots of mistakes. So of course, when you go out and record, you're going to be either indoors or outdoors, depending on whatever you're trying to capture. So as you start to do this more and more, you're going to notice that your microphone is going to pick up things that maybe either you didn't notice while you were there, or simply the sound just doesn't sound quite right. It didn't sound as maybe full as you'd like it to, or maybe it sounds too big, whatever the case may be. It's just, there's a big difference between recording versus just listening. But I think one of the more obvious things that you'll start to notice is, like I said, things that maybe you didn't notice being in that space until you started recording, and you listen to your recordings later on, and you're like, oh crap, now I have this loud sound of notoriously AC units. AC units make a lot of noise. There are 2 vents above me that will cut on at random times, and it makes recording down here very frustrating from time to time. If you are in a kitchen, refrigerators are so loud. And funny enough, what's the loudest thing about a refrigerator is when it shuts off, because all of a sudden there's like this ambience in the room that's just gone. So let's say that you're doing a location shoot and you're recording dialogue in a kitchen scene. In the first half of the shoot, the refrigerator was on, nobody noticed or cared, and everything's been going smoothly, and then it shuts off for the last half of the shoot. Now you have half of your dialogue with the loud hum of a refrigerator and another half with borderline silence. That's just a whole mess that you're gonna have to sort out later on in post-production. Unless you're not the post guy, then you're gonna have to pass that on to someone else who's just going to be very angry with you. Some other things that tend to make noise are fans, water running through pipes in the walls, fluorescent lights can make a pretty loud sound. Going back to location shoots, just the sound of the production team behind the camera, that can be an issue. I've had to deal with a short film where there was a lot of just footsteps and rumbling and moving around from the production crew that I had to kind of wiggle around as I was trying to edit dialogue. And also just the general ambience of a room. It might be something that you want to capture, it might not be, but it's just important to be aware of what the space that you're in actually sounds like as you're recording. Now outdoors, you might be trying to capture some sort of a nature ambience for your film, and then whoops, I forgot there's a highway, 50 yards away from me that's making a lot of noise and is getting captured in this recording. So now let's say that you're an audio person and you're working on a film where A character crash lands in a plane and is now trapped in the middle of a forest, and they gotta find their way back to civilization. The whole point being that there is no civilization anywhere near them for God knows how long. So let's say that now you're tasked with recording some sort of an ambience for the film. You go out to your nearest forest, you set up your microphone, capturing everything, sounds great. You take it home, you listen to it, and there are cars on the road from the highway that's like 50 feet away from you that you didn't even think about. It could be way more than 50 feet, that's definitely exaggerated. I'd hope that you'd realize that there's a highway 50 feet away from you. But understanding that there are roads a lot of times near just wooded areas or wherever you're trying to record, you need to be aware of that and try to find a better location that doesn't have that sound. Also being aware of flight paths. Planes are very loud. Helicopters too. It could just be that you need to wait for one to pass, or it could be that you need to find a better spot to record whatever you're trying to record. Or again, production crew. Let's say that you're still on that film where somebody crash landed in the forest. So you have this scene where your main character is just out in the middle of the woods doing survival stuff, and there's a production crew behind you that's moving around, stepping on leaves and twigs and everything. That's an issue because now your character, who's supposed to be totally isolated, clearly has people around him. You need to be aware of your own sounds whenever you're recording either indoors or outdoors. Just maybe you're holding a mic fairly close to you and you're breathing and that gets captured in the microphone. If you don't have a good grip or some sort of a system to contain all of your microphone and headphone cables, those can swing around, bump into the microphone, things can bump into the cables, that can cause rumble, that can ruin your recordings. But by far the biggest thing outside is wind. Wind is horrible because it will completely destroy your recording to the point where it's pretty much unsalvageable, and you really need to get something like this. The longer ones on shotgun mics tend to be called dead cats, and this would be called more like a dead kitten. If that makes you sad, you can just call it a windscreen. And all the things that I just mentioned, which is a lot of stuff to worry about, are only a select few things that you could possibly run into whenever you're going out into the world recording. So now what I'm gonna do is go do this myself. I'm gonna go out into the park, I'm gonna bring my camera, my microphone, and just record some stuff and see what happens. I'll talk about some of the things that I'm sure I'll inevitably run into while I'm there. And of course, I just really hope that if you are interested in this topic and you find this stuff fascinating, you go out and try it for yourself, because that's the best way to really learn this stuff. So I came out here with the intention of just recording the audio here just to get the sounds of nature and everything, and then highlight the fact that there is a bridge over there with lots of traffic, because a lot of times that shows up in my recordings. However, today's been very active here at the park. There are a lot of people here. There are boats driving around over there that are making a lot of noise. Some of them are playing music and everything. There's kids running around. There's all this stuff going on that just highlight the fact that even beyond listening through headphones to notice things that you wouldn't notice, there's plenty of stuff like that helicopter that you would notice just being here, and really highlights the fact that choosing the right location, first and foremost, is a very important decision, one which I didn't really make a very good decision today for this video. But hey, now we know. Yep, now we know. But I still took a recording of that location. I'll play a good 30 seconds here so you can just sit and listen to it. Really critically listen to this and try to pick out all of the different sounds that you can hear. Some things I hear right off the bat are the creaking of the dock, the distant sound of traffic on the bridge, lots of birds. I think I can hear myself moving around a little bit at one point. And the one thing that I wish I actually got more of in this recording was the sound of the water. I don't think that it was that present in this recording. But now I'll shut up so you can listen to the audio yourself. Alright, this next bit's getting into a little bit of ASMR territory. I'm going to be walking in and out of gravel and grass, just kind of alternating back and forth so that you can listen to just how it sounds on this microphone. It's hot today. One of the things I was noticing there was the sound of footsteps, just even walking through the gravel. I mean, there's a noticeable difference listening through the microphone, listening through the headphones, rather than listening just with my ears. In a way, it almost sounds crisper and brighter, and I mean, I guess artificial is, I don't know if that's the right word I'd want to use. It almost seems, see, even the flies, you got to be careful of that stuff, that's loud. But like, it just seems kind of over-exaggerated almost. The footsteps almost seem just hyper real. When I did that one shot of the camera just parallel to the ground, looking right at my feet, I had the microphone essentially right under the camera, looking in the exact same direction, and that had its own very unique sound, a very particular sound of being, very up close. And that's not what you typically hear. Most of the time, you're not really that close. So I tried then putting the microphone essentially right next to my ear and listening to footsteps that way. And I mean, it was definitely, I guess, closer to what I was hearing, but still hyper realistic. There's still that quality that the microphone has that my ear doesn't, right? My ear has its own quality to it. And I guess that's kind of the point of all of this, is to show, if you really did this, and if you go out in the field with a microphone, with headphones, and listen to the world through headphones, it's just a totally different experience. I've been emphasizing a lot of things that you maybe don't notice when you're listening normally. But it's not just that, it's literally just the quality of the sound itself. And I'm not just talking about quality of something as in like, is it good or is it bad? It's literally like the character of the sound, I guess would be a better word to use. I highly recommend that you go try this out. I'm gonna go home where there's AC and probably take a shower because it's very hot out here. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that you try this for yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.